right, welcome to The Steep. This is episode 12 of The Steep, where we give a Christian answer to questions being asked in a public square. And to spank or not to spank is the question that we began answering last time in part 1. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. And part 2 we've come to today. And so that's the question these days, because of an article that came out recently claiming that the American Academy of Pediatrics had updated their 1988 recommendation that parents be encouraged to use other methods to positively stating now in 2019 parents should not spank. This article was by Elizabeth Gershoff, who said of the new recommendation that it, quote, is a good thing because we need to stop hitting our children in the name of discipline. And yes, she says, spanking is just a euphemism for, quote, hitting children. She goes on to say, we do not allow adults to hit each other, but for some reason, American society has decided it should be legal and even desirable for adults to hit children. We need to end this double standard and provide children with the same protection from hitting that is given to all adults. So, on the one hand, you have Gershoff saying that we need to stop hurting children. And on the other hand, you have someone by the name of Charles Spurgeon who said that mothers hurt their children for life because they refuse to hurt them when they are young. So my question is, what accounts for these two reflect two polar opposites on a view on corporal punishment? What accounts for these two different views? What is it that leads Gershoff to have the view that non-damaging mild pain that would show the seriousness of what the child has done to be unacceptable, while on the other hand, Spurgeon would view the exact same act as acceptable? And that's the question I have. And the answer I would like to suggest, one answer among many that is the reason for these two different views, is a wrong view of God. A view of God which says that God the Father would never bring pain into the lives of his children in order to form their character would logically lead to the view that a human father should never bring pain into the lives of his children in order to form their character. And correspondingly, a view of God the Father which says he does bring pain into our lives in order to form our character is going to lead to a human father seeing it to be legitimate to bring mild, non-damaging pain into the lives of his children in order to form their character. And there is a scripture that calls us to remember this comparison between God the Father and a human father. It's Hebrews 12, and in verse 5, he writes to these Christians who are suffering in their Christian life. He says, and you have forgotten the exhortation which is addressed to you as sons. And then that exhortation is taken from Proverbs 3, verses 11 to 12. It says, quote, my son, do not regard lightly the discipline of the Lord, nor faint when you are reproved by him. For those whom the Lord loves, he disciplines and scourges every son whom he receives. And Proverbs 3:11, the actual text, whom the Lord loves, he reproves, even as a father corrects the son in whom he delights. And so he draws an inference from that, the author of Hebrews, in verse 7. It is for discipline that you endure. God deals with you as with sons. And he asks a rhetorical question that we're not supposed to be able to answer. It's like where Paul says, who will separate us from the love of Christ? He's not looking for an answer. He's making a statement. So here he says, for what son is there whom his father does not discipline? And he says, but if you are without discipline, of which all have become partakers, then you are illegitimate children and not sons. Furthermore, we had earthly fathers to discipline us, and we respected them. Shall we not much rather be subject to the Father of spirits and live? And so he says, they disciplined us. That purpose was for a short time, as seemed best to them. He disciplines us for our good, so that we may share his holiness. All discipline, for the moment, seems not to be joyful, but sorrowful. Yet to those who have been trained by it, afterwards it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness. So we see here Spurgeon is closer to the truth than Miss Gershoff, and he has the right view of God the Father and therefore a human father. So next time we'll go into what this looks like, the flavor of this, the atmosphere of this, the context of this. And I don't think we have anything brand spanking new to share on this, but it will be some old truths for a new generation. So catch us then for part 3. Until then, see you next time. Thank you.